Welcome to this deep dive. Um, our mission today is actually pretty straightforward, but it's, incredibly powerful.
Oh, absolutely. It's a game changer.
Yeah. We are going to extract practical, just entirely stress-free strategies for starting a conversation with anyone, anywhere.
Right. And we're pulling these insights from a really fascinating source today,
We are. It's called the Mindora Talk Guide to Mastering English Conversation Starters.
which I think it's worth noting right up front. This specific guide is actually framed for English language learners. It
Right.
was originally designed for people who are dealing with a very specific anxiety, like the paralyzing fear of making grammatical mistakes when speaking a language that isn't their native tongue.
Which, might make you wonder why we're using it for a general deep dive today.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
here's the secret the guide reveals. The psychological roadblocks it addresses, they are completely
Oh,
universal.
100%.
Whether you're speaking a second language and terrified of using the wrong verb tense, or, you're speaking your native language and just terrified of sounding awkward, the hesitation comes from the exact same place.
It really does. It's a masterclass in dismantling social anxiety step by step.
So the formulas in this guide function as this amazing tool for anyone looking to overcome social hesitation.
Yeah, and to set the stage for you listening right now, think about a time you wanted to start a conversation with a total stranger.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. It often feels like you're standing in front of this heavily locked, reinforced door.
Yes. You're just standing there on the outside, staring at the handle,
Mhm.
utterly convinced that you need some kind of, I don't know, incredibly complex master key to get inside.
Exactly. You tell yourself you need flawless grammar or like a brilliant, quick-witted joke.
Or just this immense, overflowing level of natural charisma that you simply don't possess on a random Tuesday morning.
Right. We build it up in our heads into an impenetrable barrier. We convince ourselves that if we don't have the exact right sequence of words perfectly delivered, that door is going to stay shut forever.
It's like we view the interaction as a high-stakes test that we're just about to fail.
But the guide completely shatters that illusion. It argues that you don't need a master key to open that door. You actually just need to knock.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before it even gives you a single phrase to memorize, it goes straight after the root of the problem, right?
Yeah, the myth of the perfect opening.
Right, so how does it break that down?
Well, the guide explicitly points out that so many people walk around mistakenly believing they need quote-unquote perfect English, or for a native speaker, perfectly eloquent phrasing just to engage with another human being.
Which is such a trap.
It is, because that assumes the goal of a conversation is a performance. It assumes you are stepping onto a stage to be evaluated.
When really the actual psychological goal of a conversation is connection.
Exactly. You aren't trying to impress the person next to you with difficult, esoteric vocabulary. You're just trying to establish a shared human link.
Because when we focus on trying to be impressive, we inadvertently put up a wall. We become rigid.
Right, but when we focus on simply connecting, that internal pressure starts to dissolve.
And the guide has this wonderfully practical workaround for when you do inevitably freeze up. Because let's be real, native speakers blank on words all the time.
Oh, constantly.
So if you forget a word, the guy says you should not stop speaking. Don't freeze, don't apologize profusely, just describe the thing you forgot.
Yeah, the umbrella example.
Yes. So if you completely forget the word umbrella, you just say, the thing we use when it rains.
Which sounds incredibly basic, but there's a deeper mechanism at play there.
There is, isn't there?
Yeah, it's rooted in how human beings process vulnerability. When you stumble slightly or have to describe a word in a roundabout way, it actually makes you more approachable.
Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense.
It signals to the other person's brain that you are human, that you aren't a threat, and that you are putting in genuine effort to bridge a gap. People inherently respond to that effort.
It automatically lowers their neurological guard.
Exactly. This is why the guide reminds us that the absolute best starts are the most basic ones. Simple sentences like, "Hi, how are you?" Or, "Hi, is this seat free?"
Okay, wait. I love the idea of keeping it simple, but I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
If I just walk up to someone and toss out two words like, "Hi, how are you?" Aren't they just going to say fine and then look back at their phone?
That is a huge fear for a lot of people.
Right. Because doesn't a simple opener run a massive risk of flatlining right out of the gate? I always think of a conversation like a game of catch. You want to toss the ball over gently so they can catch it and toss it back.
A game of catch is the perfect analogy.
But if the toss is too simple, the game just ends, doesn't it?
What's fascinating here is that the analytical truth and what the guide emphasizes is that the simplicity is a feature, not a bug.
Really? How so?
Think about your game of catch analogy. If you walk up to a stranger and immediately throw a heavy bowling ball at them, they're going to dodge it.
Okay, yeah, fair point.
In this context, a heavy bowling ball is a complex, deeply philosophical question, or a really elaborate joke that requires them to think quickly to respond.
It's too much cognitive load for a stranger who wasn't expecting an interaction.
Exactly. It creates a high-stakes linguistic environment. Nobody wants to catch a bowling ball when they are just waiting in line for coffee.
Right. I certainly don't.
Precisely. By using a basic low-pressure opening like, "Hi, is this seat free?" you are tossing a lightweight tennis ball. You are drastically lowering the stakes and removing the pressure from the other person.
Because they don't have to perform or process complex information.
Right. Because the cognitive stakes are so low, they're actually far more likely to engage, smile, and toss that lightweight ball back to you. The simplicity signals safety.
So it's not about dazzling them. It's about showing them that interacting with you is safe and requires very little initial effort on their part. Okay, so once we understand that, and we drop the fear of needing a perfect opening line, we still have to figure out what that simple topic is actually going to be.
Right, you need a direction.
Yeah, if I'm tossing a lightweight tennis ball, where am I aiming it?
Hmm.
How do we find a safe topic without retreating into our own heads and overthinking it?
Well, the guide has a very clear directive for this. It says to look outward. Stop searching your own brain for a brilliant topic and start observing your physical surroundings.
It's almost like having a built-in teleprompter for life.
I love that. Yes, a teleprompter.
You don't have to write the script from scratch. The environment has already written it for you. You just have to read it out loud.
That is a great way to visualize it. The guide gives some concrete examples of situational awareness, but it first establishes a crucial rule about what not to do.
Oh, right. Avoiding the overly personal stuff.
Exactly. It warns against asking highly personal questions too quickly. If you just met someone, you don't ask about their salary, their private life, or their relationships.
Because from a psychological standpoint, doing so triggers a boundary defense.
Yeah, people have concentric circles of privacy, and jumping into the inner circle immediately feels invasive, not friendly. You have to keep it anchored to the outermost circle, the immediate shared physical situation.
Right. You don't start the game of catch by asking about their childhood. You start with the room you're both standing in.
Precisely.
The guide breaks this down with some really practical scenarios. Like if you are in a queue, the teleprompter might read, "Have you been waiting long?"
A classic.
Or if you're at a cafe, "This place is really nice, isn't it?" Or, "Have you tried the coffee here?" Or even at an event, just saying, "What do you think about the event so far?"
It also highlights the power of a compliment, provided it is natural, respectful, and tied to the immediate surroundings.
Oh, like noticing a book.
Yeah, for instance, if you are in a bookstore and you see someone holding a book, asking, "I see you're reading that, is it good?"
Which isn't overly personal, but it opens the door to a meaningful exchange about a shared interest. All based on a visual cue they've already provided.
Exactly. It's incredibly low pressure.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. Using your surroundings makes total sense when you are at a cool indie bookstore or a bustling cafe or an exciting industry event.
Right, where there's stuff going on.
But what if the surroundings are just totally depressingly mundane? Like, how do you use the environment if you're just sitting in a completely boring, sterile waiting room at the DMV?
Or a doctor's office where there is absolutely nothing interesting to observe.
Yes, exactly.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that is where the underlying psychology gets really fascinating. The answer is rooted in one of the most powerful tools for human bonding, which is shared reality.
Even if that reality is incredibly boring.
Yes, even shared boredom is still a shared experience.
Okay, I'm trying to picture how shared boredom actually brings people together.
Think about the evolutionary mechanism of the in-group versus the out-group. When you are in that sterile waiting room, and you point out something completely mundane to the stranger next to you.
Like complaining about a broken clock or something.
Exactly. Maybe just saying, well, the clock on that wall is definitely broken. You are establishing a shared micro-reality.
Oh, I see.
For that brief moment, it is the two of you acknowledging the exact same frustrating or boring environment, separate from the rest of the world.
So pointing out the mundane validates their internal experience of that mundane situation.
Yes, it essentially says, I see what you see, and we are in this together. That simple validation creates an immediate, low-friction bond.
It's like saying, we are both stuck in this boring reality together. Let's form a tiny two-person alliance. You acknowledge the shared pain, even if it's just the pain of a slow-moving line.
Exactly.
So the environment is our teleprompter. We use it to break the ice with zero cognitive pressure. But inevitably, you have to move past the icebreaker.
Right, you can't talk about the broken clock forever.
Exactly. You've established the two-person alliance, the ball has been tossed and caught. But how do you sustain that momentum? How do you keep it going so it doesn't just devolve back into a dead, awkward silence? Or worse, turn into a terrifying interrogation?
The guide offers a highly effective structural tool for this exact transition. It relies on an acronym, the FORD method. FORD.
Of the 4-or-D method. I love a good acronym.
It's very handy. This framework provides a continuous supply of safe, engaging topics once the initial environmental ice is broken.
Okay, let's walk through the pillars of the FORD method and why they work.
Sure. F stands for family. O stands for occupation, which covers work or what they study. R is for recreation, meaning their hobbies or what they do in their free time. And D is for dreams, which encompasses their future plans, goals, or aspirations.
Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. It's a solid mental checklist. But why these four specific areas? What makes them the gold standard for sustaining a conversation?
They work because they systematically move from the most grounded realities of a person's life toward their internal passions, all while remaining in generally safe social territory.
That makes sense. Family and occupation are pretty standard.
Right. Family and occupation are the foundational elements of how most people spend their time and derive their daily identity. They're easy to answer.
And then recreation and dreams get a bit deeper.
Exactly. Recreation begins to tap into their voluntary joys, what they choose to do, which usually lights people up. And dreams taps into their aspirations.
And talking about future goals actually triggers a mild dopamine response, doesn't it?
It does. When you ask someone what they are looking forward to, you are inviting them to share a positive, forward-looking aspect of themselves, which builds emotional intimacy very quickly, but in a safe way.
The guide does include a pretty strict warning about how to use this acronym, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. The warning is crucial. Do not ask all four of these categories at once.
Yeah, that would be intense.
If you run through them sequentially like a checklist, like, do you have siblings? What is your job? What are your hobbies? What are your dreams? You completely destroy the natural flow.
You no longer sound like a friendly stranger trying to connect. You sound like a detective conducting a very intense job interview.
Exactly. It's incredibly off-putting.
It's a fast way to make the other person look for the nearest exit. I look at the FOD method sort of like a restaurant menu. You look it over, you pick one appetizer to start, and you see how it tastes. You don't order the entire menu and force the other person to eat all in one giant bite.
That's a great analogy. You pick one category, maybe occupation, and see where it naturally leads.
And the guide explains the mechanism for how to see where it leads. The secret to keeping the momentum alive without feeling like an interrogator is active listening.
Yes. The other person's answer actually contains your next question.
So you don't need to panic and consult your internal FOD menu for a completely new topic.
No, not at all. You just have to listen to the specific words they just handed you and pull on that thread.
They throw the ball back, and you just catch it and throw it from exactly where you were standing. The guide gives a fantastic real-life example of how this flows at an event. Let's trace the steps, because it really illustrates how the psychological shifts happen in real time.
Let's do it. It starts with the lowest possible stakes, utilizing the immediate environment. One person asks, "Hi, is this seat free?"
And the other replies, yes, of course. The door is unlocked. The tennis ball has been caught.
Then the initiator uses a simple situational question. Is this your first time at this event?
The response is, yes, it is. What about you? Now we have actual momentum.
Right. And eventually, through just listening and asking follow-up questions about the event itself, they discover a shared interest in personal development.
One person mentions they are actively working on their communication skills, and the other mentions they want to build their confidence.
Notice the trajectory there. It transitioned organically from a sterile environmental question, the physical seat, into a discussion about dreams, the D in the FOE method.
Because building confidence and improving skills are future goals.
Exactly. By actively listening to the answers, rather than planning their next unrelated question, they move from strangers to two people exchanging ideas on personal growth. all stemming from a simple question about a chair.
It's a seamless progression. But, and here's my big question, what if the person you were talking to doesn't play along nicely?
Ah, right.
Because that example assumes the other person is giving you full, thoughtful answers with plenty of threads to pull.
Mm,
What if they give you absolutely nothing to work with, like a one-word answer?
it happens all the time.
Like you ask someone, what do you do for work? And they just give you a flat one-word answer. They just say, accounting. Or you ask what they do for fun, and they say, I watch movies.
Right.
How do you pull a follow-up question out of a dead-end answer like that without feeling like you are prying?
This raises an important question, and it is one of the most common hurdles in any interaction. But the guide provides an elegant, highly effective solution.
Which is
It lists 5 powerful sentences to keep in your back pocket, and one of them is specifically engineered for this exact scenario. When someone gives you a short, closed-off answer, you use this phrase. That's interesting. Tell me more about it.
Tell me more about it. Um, it seems almost too simple to be a solution for a stalled conversation.
It seems simple, but neurologically it accomplishes 2 very important things at once. First, it offers validation.
Validation.
Yeah, it flatters them by showing genuine active interest in whatever small, mundane nugget they just offered. Whether they said accounting or movies, you are signaling that their reality has value to you.
Because people fundamentally want to be heard, and explicitly asking for more satisfies that desire.
Exactly. Second, and more importantly, it transfers the conversational baton back to them without cornering them.
Wait, what do you mean by not cornering them?
Well, if someone says, I like movies, and you immediately ask, what is your favorite movie of all time and who directed it? You have just thrown a bowling ball.
Oh, I see.
You've cornered them with a specific, rigid question that requires memory recall and cognitive effort. But saying, tell me more about it, is an open invitation.
It allows them to expand on their own terms.
Right. They can talk about the theater they go to, the genre they like, or the snack they eat. It removes the pressure of an interrogation while still keeping the door wide open.
That completely reframes how to handle an awkward pause. You aren't forcing them to speak or interrogating them for details. You are just giving them the floor.
Exactly. You are literally telling them, I value what you are saying. Please keep going in whatever direction you want. And the guide points out that people usually enjoy talking to someone who genuinely listens to them.
Because active listening isn't just about perceiving the acoustic sound of the words, it's about signaling that you care about the meaning behind them.
Right. When you do that, the conversation essentially drives itself. You are no longer nervously planning your next sentence while they speak. You are entirely present in their reality.
So for you listening to this deep dive right now, what does this all mean for you? The takeaway is incredibly liberating. It is time to stop waiting for your delivery or your vocabulary or your confidence to be perfect.
Because perfect doesn't exist.
Right. And frankly, perfect is intimidating to other people. Connection is about shared humanity, not flawless execution.
And you have a complete toolkit to initiate that connection now.
You really do. Use your immediate surroundings as your built-in teleprompter to find a natural low-pressure opening. Toss the tennis ball.
Yes, and lean on the FRD method family, occupation, recreation, dreams, to find direction when you need it, without treating it like a rigid checklist.
And above all, let the other person's answers write your script for you by truly listening and simply asking them to tell you more about it.
By focusing on these principles, you dismantle the psychological roadblocks that keep us isolated. You don't have to be a master orator or a brilliant comedian. You just have to be observant, curious, and present.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, because it completely shifts the dynamic of everything we've discussed today.
Okay, I'm listening.
We have spent this entire deep dive talking about overcoming our fear. The Mindora Guide focuses heavily on conquering your fear of making mistakes, your fear of not knowing what to say, and your social hesitation.
Right, it's very internally focused in that way.
But consider this flipped perspective. What if the person you are so incredibly nervous to talk to is sitting there, locked in their own head, dealing with the exact same anxiety?
Oh, wow. That's a great point.
We walk around assuming everyone else is perfectly comfortable and secure, but social anxiety is a nearly universal human experience. What if they are desperately hoping someone else will do the brave work of saying hello first?
They probably are.
What if your simple, slightly nervous, "Hi, is this seat free?" isn't just an icebreaker for your own benefit? What if it's actually a rescue mission for someone else's social anxiety?
I love that framing. A rescue mission.
You aren't just opening a door for yourself. You might be unlocking the door for them too. They might be sitting there, staring at their phone, just waiting for someone exactly like you to knock.
That changes everything.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools, ditch the need for perfection, and go start a conversation today. Just knock on the door. You might be surprised who is waiting on the other side.